Welcome back to my channel, everybody. This is the continuation of Benevolent Hybrid Reptilian Human. Good morning, Jefferson. Good morning to you, Treb. How are you doing this morning? Fantastic. How are you doing? I'm doing well. It is very nice to be in your presence again. Let us begin where we left off from the previous. Fantastic. Before we move forward, can you tell us what you've been up to today, Treb? As far as the day is concerned, it is one, since we do not measure the days in the same way, I will explain what I have been doing in your conception of day. Today is a day that I have been home with the family. I am talking to my children. One of my children is ready to step into the way of going into what you say as a career or the options that we choose. He goes into the driving of the crafts that we use. He is very interested in this. It is something that he is very interested about. This is one thing that I have done, along with conversing with others. He is the oldest of the children that we have. Two of the other children are not yet at that age to decide, but they are very interested in this as well. So how old is this young? Is it a young boy or a young girl? No, the oldest is of a male orientation. He is in the 47 or 48 of your years. Yes, he is at that age right now where he is ready to make the decision. He has tried a few different things or different responsibilities. But he seems to be fond of the ideas of traveling amongst the galaxies. Jefferson, so he has already left the planet before? Oh yes, he has gone with many, just as the one who I spoke, who is watching us as a spiritual advisor. This is one that he is interested in. As he watches us, this is the sun. He is doing this for the job of what he wants to do in the spaceship, driving, if you will. So is he going to be a sort of pilot like we have for our planes? Yes, very much like this. He is able to not only fly in responsibility, but when there is contact made with other races, he is a representative of this contact. This is part of his responsibility as well. It would be to what you might think of as a person on the Navy ships, one that is in the high command, not a leader, but one who is right underneath this. And in this, there is the responsibility of flying as well. Jefferson. So the pilots then, they have to undergo some spiritual training before actually taking on the responsibility of flying to other planets? Oh yes, very much so. The spiritual interest in our race is well developed. It is one that is ingrained, and I have spoken to you before about this. In the fifth density, this is a growth that is previous to the fifth density development, but it is still necessary to try to understand the ways of other races, not only in the regular sense, in the spiritual sense as well. And then how long has he been investing his time in order to be at the level where he is at now? Approximately 10 of your years to go around and experience some time with the piloting and to see there has been several contacts that has been made with other races while he was there. So he was able to experience not just the idea of flying, but the idea of original contact with other races that were ready for this contact. In a sense, as the way you are in a quarantine now, there are many that are not in quarantine anymore, so they are ready for this contact. So he is a representative of this. In the works, learning and the making, training, as you might say, so he's been able to experience this a few times now. Does the fact that his father is a spiritual advisor help or helped him with his career development? As you might think of this does not hurt at all, laughter. Yes, this is very helpful for him in a way of learning, not in the way when I read this through the host, he sees that very many people who have great jobs or responsibilities on your planet are handed down great responsibilities without truly earning them. Yeah, by simply being part of the family, it is not who they are. This is not the way it is here. But the idea for the learning, yes, it is very helpful. Oh, so basically being his father helped him in knowing in the knowledge side, but not necessarily to get the position. Yes. Because he is around me all the time. Vibrationally, he picks this up. Also, he watches my work. Most of my work I can do from my home area, so he is aware of all this work. I've had him working and helping me in my work several times. I do this with all of my offspring. I see. So is he aware that you are communicating with Earth at this time? Yes, he is aware of this. He is not in the conversation or hearing this conversation, but as I speak to him, I do explain that part of my consciousness is set up. It is not just the host channeler that I speak with at the time. I speak with two other entities within the galaxy as well in a similar fashion. Not necessarily as you see a channeling, but what you might call telepathic waves. And what approximation of sound could you give us for the name of this oldest child of yours? As far as names goes, the child does not have a name in the way that you see it. If it were to be translated in the way that I've given my name to the host, it would be in the same way. It would be Treb Bor yit-NE, but it is not. He would be the son, because it is all of the family name to the area of the planet, and both of us are the same, obviously in the same planet and in the same star in this way. It is not thought of as a name per se, as you see. It is more of which family and which job. Some of them seem to respond to the older or younger ones of the family. Male or female is in this way. Where is he located right now? Where is he physically located? Yes, he is here with me. We are speaking of that job that he is going to do. I see. Is it possible that I ask you to ask him a question? Sure, that's fine. Can you tell him that I am asking him what exactly he chose to follow that career, not another? Yes, give me one moment. His response is of this nature: to be among the stars is a place of our people. It is truly where my soul lies, and this is my highest excitement or passion in your words, and this is what I've always wanted to do from the time of understanding of the stars. Oh, whoa, I see, yes. And has already met any civilization that looks like we do? Yes, similar to what you do. There is a race that is very close to which is the race that we come from, the Nihal. Oh, okay. It is a race that has been what you might call of a hybrid, but it is very close as it is similar a race. And if you were to look upon this race with your eyes, it would appear to be a short human race. Very short, as in the ways of 3.5 feet, perhaps, with which he has come in contact many times with. This race is very close to our race, and we have visitors from this race all the time. And when they travel to other planets, do they fly like our pilots, or one or two persons own craft, or is that like with more? No, in the responsibility and in this way, it is much larger of a ship. At your approximation of the size, it would be in the 1/4 of a mile. It is not a big ship for very far or great amount of travel, but it can hold a crew of approximately 20 people just in the design of the main room where everything is controlled. And this is the team that works on the planet, so it is 20 of the people approximately. Now, Treb, taking advantage that he is beside you right now, even though I will enjoy to learn more from your perspective on many ideas, while we work together in this co-creation, sharing of information from your side, just to take advantage as he is right there, right now, can you perhaps ask him as well, what from a young person from your world, what is then, considering what he knows about Earth and the stage of development that we are, what is his message for us from his mind at this timing? Any messages that he might have, or anything that comes to his heart that he thinks would be interesting for him to share with us at this point in time? Sure, one moment. His response that he has is very similar to the response that his father would have. This is what makes me smile, for I know that he has learned well. He says to the people of Earth to open their hearts and to open their minds, learn to accept and keep their heart open, and that this is the key to happiness. Now, Treb, a question to you. We understand that when you speak of opening the heart, you don't really mean to cut ourselves open, and in that way open the muscle we call heart. You mean on a metaphorical way. So can you explain what you mean when you guys invite us to open the heart, for people that may not understand exactly what that really means? Yes, opening the heart is a term that the host channeler would use in a way of giving yourself unconditional love, making sure that you are available to care, to love, to feel, and to help. To do anything to the benefit of others. Opening your heart means that you are able to express your emotions and are able to understand emotions of the ones around you. To be connected with all other races and entities, not just in an emotional way, but in complete respect and love. I see, thank you. You're welcome. Now, do you have plans, or does your son have plans to visit Earth? Yes, this is one of the future ideas of his. What are his expectations as far as encounter? How does he think he will receive them, considering that he is more reptilian than human? He understands this difference. This is one that is greatly made aware throughout our whole race. It is expected that the differences will be seen, and to there perhaps exists the idea of fear for those who do not understand. I see. I am sure that he is willing to expect this and to show that he is from a place of love and not of judgment or harm. And once you can convince the people that you are doing things that are on their, not in your own interest, for the interest of all, it becomes a greater way for them to understand. And even if they have these differences hardened in their hearts, they will come to see love as that which softens the hardest of hearts. And this is why I've explained that this is the greatest tool to use against ones who do truly mean you harm. Now, do they, the people of your planet and your son, do they consider shape-shifting to initiate contact? No, this is not done by our race. Our race does not function in this way. As the host is aware of concepts of density, the non-physical starts in the 6th density, but our race is one that considers the 6th to still be in the physical density, and one of the regulations of breaking apart the 5th and 6th, where it would be considered to be only the 6th for most, is the ability to be able to manifest your body in an instantaneous fashion in this way. It is not something that we are able to do now. It is not until we have advanced into the density of the 6th. So this is not a consideration. If you speak of the technologies in the different ways that we spoke of previously, with the holographics or the hypnotizing techniques, this is not something that we wish to do, for we do not want to fool anyone or to trick them. We want to show them who we are as we are. This is very noble of you. And this is how we see this. The most probable time frame for contact with your race is particular that will happen when will then be after we have already met those who are closest in appearance to us. Yes, there will be a meeting with the ones that look more like you before we decide to step in, if you will. This is not done just for the reason that you spoke of, but they are more connected to you genetically, and they are very much your ancestors and are connected in relation to. Even though we are all connected as one, it is easier for your race to see this in that way. Have you noticed whether the same things happen with other races, that they usually meet first those who are closest in appearance and feelings and sensations as they? Yes, this is done specifically with that purpose and intentionally. The council that oversees this does this intentionally. It is a way of comfort. It also depends on the race. There are races that we have encountered where first contact is not made by ones who are closely associated to them or that look like them. But this is because it is understood that these races are more open or mentally ready and open and acceptant of the possibility or the knowledge that there are entities outside of their own planet. At this time in your race, there are many who still hold on to the belief that there is life only on Earth. So this would too be devastating to them in the ways of belief systems or religious systems, whereas other planets do not have this. They are not affected in this way, so it is easy for anyone. Whoever is closest or has spent the greatest time in helping them are usually the first ones to go in those cases. So is it an intentional pattern for the purpose of comfort and integration? Yes. This is so for the reason I explained. It is most comfortable. Anyway, any way of ascending, whether it be in the physical level or level of maturity, either way, this is done for this reason. As a race progresses, it must be comfortable within this. Well, these are not the exact words that I should use because the growth is quite uncomfortable for most, but do you understand what I mean? Yes. And this craft that your son pilots, yes. What does it look like? It is what you might see as the silver color. Once again, going back to the metallic issues that we have, it is not very different from the ones that you see. It is round and it is very high in size. In your measurements, it would be a couple of 100 feet tall and 1/4 of a mile wide. It is rounded in the front and goes back almost as you might see as a rounded type of boomerang. Does this make sense? Yes. Like a triangle shape? Yes, similar to this, but more rounded in all ways. It is silver. It does not seem very well by the human eye as the electromagnetic design that we use to go around this to protect within temperatures or different air pressures. This can be given electrical shock inside of this to produce almost a camouflage type of field around this, if you understand. Yes. It is made aware of all the surroundings in your planet. The blue skies would be reflected off of this, so it would be much harder to see for the human eyes. I see. And about this piloting career, what does Mom think about it? She's very accepting and willing of this. And her family, she has what you would call brother who does similar work, but on a smaller scale. He is one who is on these ships that are much smaller that serve the locals. If you are to look at this in this way, the larger ships that we have are very huge in size of your awareness. It would take 5 of these to put most of the people we have within in case we never had to leave it for any reason. As far as ships, there are very small ones that are considered maybe on the size of one of your buses. Yes. Treb and her brother is working on one of those that has the size of one of your buses, so she is very used to this. Then Uncle comes home sometimes and visits your son? Oh yes, this is very common. This is one of his favorite relatives. I believe it is because of the connection, hearing the stories, feeling the energy, the excitement inside of the stories that his uncle was very stimulating for him. I see. So is it one of the reasons why he liked so much that particular work or career? Yes. Now you mentioned just now, in case we need to leave for some reason, why would your entire race need to leave the planet? There are celestial bodies around that we are aware of that are very destructive in nature, even to the density of the 5th, and these are very detrimental to life. It is not something that we need to be extremely cautious about, but it is something we might see as a precaution in that sense, just in case. Has that ever happened? No, there is no idea of why or reason that it would happen. It is standard procedures for many races, not only ways to escape, but also ways for large groups to go if there is ever some planets that are in need for help. We can send large amounts of beings to their planets as well. Then that means that you also receive help and beings from other planets in case you need? Yes, where there is need, there is always help, and this is the greatest benefit of being in this society where many races are linked in this way. So in that sense, then you always have much more than we do to do because there is a greater amount of options to choose from. Yes, it is not as you might see this, to save another race or the other way around. It is much different on the ideas where when you ask for help from someone, and the density and belief system that we are from, when you ask for help, if they are able to, they give this help. It is never done in a forceful way, as you might see on your world, is understood, where if there is a country that has an issue, you have entities as the UN or even American government that goes into our other countries without permission to say they are helping. It is not in this way. The idea is truly to be of help if one asks for this, not an excuse to open up the avenues as you do it, to have greater resources, if you will. Perhaps I have actually wanted to ask you within the same idea a different question, okay? When you have so many planets interacting, it is natural that the lifespan of your society is greater because you have so much more options than we do for things that you can, activities that you can engage with, yes? And this goes into a spiritual and physical because there's more for the soul to experience in ways of the evolution of the soul, and because there's more to experience as you might think of in this day-to-day life. So the lifespan must be much greater in order to have these advantages. It is almost a benefit that it is made from necessity for all of the things that we must do. I have a question that I would prefer to keep for later on in the book, as far as time frame for contact with your society. Okay, so please don't just answer now, but this question is a little bit related to that. Can you ask your son when in his mind will he be meeting a human being from Earth at approximation in time frame? And this is what you want me to ask of him now? Yes, I don't want to know the exact time frame of when your race will. Perhaps your race will even contact us before or after, I don't know. But let's see what he feels that a good approximation in time frame would be for him to be in our planet. I will speak to him then. One moment. Yes, I have the answer from him, but it is a bit of an unfair advantage because he understands that if things progress in the way they are right now, then this stage would be a date that happens. There's always changes for this, but if you wish for me to give you this date, I will. Yes, I understand we are going to work with probabilities and that can change depending on the choices that we make. Within your time, it would be about 17 years. 17, 1-7. Oh, awesome, cool. Of your years, yes, and that considering things will progress in a natural rate as it is now. This is the host channeler might see this as a medium high probability, one that could be percentage-wise in the 70%. So the possibility of his race making contact with humans is in 17 years from now, and that possibility is in the 70% range. I see, so before 2030 then, yes. Interesting. Now, there are some beings that say that by the year 2033, we are already going to be part of the Interstellar Alliance or the Association of Worlds. Yes, do you see that as well? Yes, I see that you will be affiliated with this. I am not sure of this year precisely. It is a high probability that it will be close to this time, but this is not a guarantee for the time. I would give a 3 to 5 years range for more or for less. Yes, this is a great probability, yes. Now, there are some ideas that I would like to discuss with you, comparing answers, so our individuals and brothers from Earth can go further in their understanding of your race. Comparing answers: where I am Jefferson, you are Treb; where I live in Brazil, you live in Bor; where I live on Earth, you live in Yit; and as far as solar system, where we don't have a specific name for ours, you call yours NE, correct? Yes. Now, in that sense, we call our galaxy Milky Way. How do you call your galaxy? Here, the names are not the same, but if you want me to process the thought through the English language, it would be clusterization. This is the closest word like in yours. This is the most predominant thought when it comes to our galaxy in the way of thought patterning. This is the closest one that I can associate with. So where we call our Milky Way, you call yours clutterization. Yes, Now the other idea that would help us to have a label so we can refer to where we call ourselves human or humans, what name do you have for your society? If it was for the human race to call us, it would be either the Capellians or it would be the yit-NEs. Maybe, perhaps, I am not sure. It is just our world, but it would be perhaps named after the star that we come from. So it would be the Yit or Capellian, whichever you find best. Oh, okay. Even in the Capellian way, this is not fair either because there's more stars within the region of the Capella. So it is not to the better. It would be the Neons, perhaps. I do not know how to say this in a way that it sounds correct. No problem. We will call your race by the name of your planet as it might take more sense. We are going to call you the Yits. Yes, I think it sounds great. Okay, then following the same thought pattern here, considering that the International Astronomical Union decided that Pluto is no longer a planet, in our accounting there are 8 planets in our solar system. How many are there in yours? If you are considering the same standards of Earth planets, is this what you mean? Well, no. It's like, well, you have a sun. We have 8 planets around our sun. You see, in our solar system, how many planets do you have in your solar system? They don't have to be all of the 3rd density. Yes, you are speaking of all of the densities that are combined. There are more than 20. But if it is in the 5th density alone, without life being considered other densities as a part of it, we are the 3rd planet and there are 12 out. So there are 15 just within our density. If you consider ones who have manifested through all densities, there would be 27, I believe. Okay, so let's stick to the number 15 since there are the planets that you can see that are in your solar system. So you are on the third planet that is closest to the sun. Yes, if you are traveling from the star outward, yes. Yes, now, according to the United States Census Bureau, 2010, the total number of living humans in our planet is over 6 billion. How many people are there in Yit? There are approximately 34 to 35 million. Okay, so we are speaking of millions, not billions. Yes, it is not billion, millions. But then you said that your planet is 1.6 or 1.7 times bigger than ours. Yes. So it is very sparsely populated considering your human population. I see. Is there any particular reason for that, or is this just natural? This is the natural progression of things. There was a great percentage of our people that were lost before we ascended to the fifth density, which happened during the war that we had with what you would call, or what I have called, the Ancient Reptilians. So when your planet went from fourth to fifth density, or when it went from third to fifth density? Yes, when it was in the fourth, before we had gone to the fifth density. It is 480,000 of your years ago. This is when the Ancient Reptilians came, and we lost a great percentage of our people in this battle. Lost in the sense that they died, or that they decided to follow the other way? Oh no, it wasn't that. The cause was death. But then when people die, they reincarnate. Yes, so you didn't really lose them. No, not in the sense that I would see this, no, but in the sense where the population had a loss in its number in this way. Couldn't they have reborn in your planet? Yes, they are waiting for this time as it is or not necessary to them. There's still, just as in your density, there's a time that is between lives that is used for the knowledge of the soul's reflection of its situation. Some are in a level and of a nature that will not come back into our world. Oh, interesting. It is a cycle, but it is much just as your everyday to-day life. You have decisions in the way that you are able to make. Whether you want to do this or you do not want to reincarnate in this way, yes. So there are many of our races who are not manifesting themselves back into this physical reality as of now. I see. The way it works then, in between lives, is like, let me know if my definition and understanding of this idea is correct. Once we die, we stay in a spiritual colony, for instance, and in that place, whichever place you go, is a place that is resonance with your vibrational frequency, counting the development you have acquired in all of your lives. That represents the moral and scientific inner development that you have acquired, so that is the place where you go to. You belong temporarily there. And when you're on the spiritual world, you can go to the worlds that are in resonance with the level you have achieved. Other more evolved might be open for your visitation, but as a foreigner, until you get to vibrate on those more evolved levels, to then be able to exist as one of their integrated beings. Yes, that is a very good explanation. This is one of the best explanations that I've heard used from one of your human race. Cool, I understand well then why your planet is not necessarily as populated as it was before. That is because the person in between lives can choose to go to a plethora of planets, as long as a planet they prefer is in a level where they can understand and exist comfortably. Under those set of circumstances, they can incarnate there. Yes, it is much like this. When you from the human race die on the physical sense, you are put in what you might see as a buffer level, and this is between the third and the fourth density. And this is the one that they are now on. So as if you die, just as if you died, you would be in between the third and the fourth. When they are physical entities, they are in between the fifth and the sixth densities. Yes, it is in part a vibrational harmonic level that is in between, yes. What we say is in many buffer zone is it gives you the capabilities to have manifestational powers with the energetic mastery. So once you are back into this realm in the incarnate sense, back into the fifth density, you carry a certain knowledge, even though we come from a higher density, from a higher standard, or perhaps higher evolution in your eyes. In the spiritual sense, there is still too much to learn. And when we go to this in between lives, we still do the learnings that you also have. It is very similar to this. And yes, the description that you have given, it is one of the greatest I have heard from the race of humans. You have a very good understanding, so you must have been taught well by your sources as well. Yeah, I love learning these ideas so much just because, I don't know, perhaps this is the reason I am on the earth, to share and become that bridge so this knowledge can reach more and more people. It is also to add to what previously was said, the reason why I explain, even though it looks better because we are from the higher density or spiritual evolution, even though we are at this, we still do not have what you might say as a full connection to what is in the higher self, which is a portion of of us that is non-physical existence. Yes, our soul, if you will, and this is why we connect in this way. The only advantage that we have that the humans do not in this afterlife is the ability to have full comprehension in the way of previous lives and possible future lives. just because of the way that time is felt or experienced. Jefferson, as a form of a joke from Earth to your planet, the other advantage that you guys have is that you have two hearts, so you can love more. Haha. This is very great way of seeing this, yes. So, water covers 71% of Earth's surface. Does it work the same in your world? Oh no. It is much less water than yours, and it is not as deep. It is what you might say as the seas, and there are several that are spread throughout the planet, in what you might consider in size of a state in the United States, and one of those states that have many lakes. This is similar to that, but it is not the same size percentage. It is well less than 30%. Like half of it, meaning half of the 30. If I were to give you an approximate percentage, it would have to be in the 18% perhaps. So where we are 71%, you would be 15% water. Yes, 17% of water approximately, yes. Are the waters in your planet all salty? It is not salty. The minerals that are in your planet are not the same. So they are not of a salty nature. The only difference is the hydrogen of the molecules would be what you might consider to be heavier. So it is a hydrogen heavy water. This is the best way that I can explain it as it compares to what your peers might understand. Our fishes have gills that have the ability to extract the oxygen that is dissolved in the waters, yes. Same way our lungs work with air, Can you breathe underwater? Yes, we can breathe under the water, but not in the way of breathing like a fish would do. It is much more like the large animals that you have, the mammals, the ones that appear to be fish, the whales. These are compressing large amounts of atmosphere into their lungs that enables them to go under for several hours. This is more similar to ours, even though our lungs are not the same way in the appearance or in the way it works, per se. It is very similar to their lungs. And it is used with high compressionary sense in the way that the lungs almost shrink in a way by high pressure. So if we use a large amount from the atmosphere to equalize this, we are able to stay under for large periods of time. If you can share with me this knowledge, it means for me that you have or someone has already done that. To go underwater? Yes, for long hours. Yes, this is a very common activity, much like you swim. It is less of a fun idea as you have it. It is more of a way to connect with nature. As you understand life as it is on our planet, it is only of fifth density. But in the collective consciousness, there can manifest what you might see as plant or primitive animals just for the feeling of comfort or feeling of connection to the environment of our primitive selves. So in this way, we use this to connect, to get into the water, or to what you might say is swim around is very common to us. I see. So what you do basically is you dive and you go great dips within the water. Yes, you can do this. Yes, we are very able to do this. I've done this many times. All of my family have done this many times. Yes. This is done very often, but this is not the only way. You are able to float around on the top of surface or to skim through the water as in a swimming way. Yes. Now, is the way your body is set up of any help for you in the water? Yes, it would be more dynamic on more ways because of the appendages we have with the hands being bigger and the feet being flatter and wider. We are able to do this with greater ease than the physical body of the human, yes. So you have shoulders, elbows, and fists? Yes, it is almost as if, yes, it is almost if it were not for the color of the skin, the proportions of the body, as in the head and shoulder, hands, and feet. If we were to have your skin, then we would look to you like a very ugly human. Okay, how many fingers do you have? There are 5 like yours, exactly like yours, the same exact way. And the feet? No, there are only 3 toes. What? But they are much larger. The feet are a little different from yours. The reason of terrain and for the reasons of motions through the waters as yours are not built for this. It would be more likened to your turtle with the flat and big toes and the webs that are between this, the skin that connects. I see. So talking about the frontal part of your feet from one side to another, you have 3 fingers, and connecting each one you have a thick skin? Yes, this is the feet. So this would be to your word toes instead of fingers. Yes. Yes, it would be 3 of what you would see as maybe toes, but they are much wider and greater in width. Now on your toes, do you have toenails? It is not a toenail that would appear with yours. It is much like as the turtle with the sharpened edges to it, but it is harder type of skin. So it is the same with the skin. It is not the same as you would not see it as a thumbnail, but it is, yes, it is almost a claw, more of a hardened piece of skin that is to point, much as the turtle. And your hand? No, this is the regular as yours would be appear that has the hardened skin above it, much as the fingernail. I see. Now, do your fingernails grow like a claw on cats, or it remains the same size? No, they are able to grow. It is something that we maintain. I see. So you can clip them. It is not like a cat that you can, grow their nails at will. No, it is not retractable in this way. So now when you are on the water that you dive, do you have like, in our oceans, we have animals such as whales that produce one of the most powerful sounds. So what animal can you speak of today that lives in your waters? There are very primitive sorts of animals that might see as a small fish. There is no great animal that is within the seas. The seas themselves are not big enough to sustain the animals that are of the size of your wells, but to you it would appear to be a 3 or 4 of your feet long, 6 to 8 inches wide, and as far as sound, they do not emit sounds. Even though we can conceive or perceive sounds, we do not have ears, so it is more of a vibrational picking up, much in a way that your eardrums do, but it is in a different way. So the sounds they make are not heard, they are more felt. Oh, do you have like snakes? No, there is no. The only ones that exist are on the actual surface of our planet. It would be much what you might consider primitive. I am not sure what is the name for this. I'm not sure what they've called it. They tend to eat different plants, different things of this nature. They also eat up the ones that have died of their own race. But this is once again more of a cleaning system used for because of the manifestation from within. So there are no natural predators to this animal. So they eat the remaining of each other as well. Now, is this animal close in appearance to the snakes we have? No, they have the 4 legs. They stand up. They look to your way of Komodo lizard, but it is not as reptilian type as yours. Yours might see this. It is more like the amphibian type, more like a great lizard, but it is not scaly. It has smooth skin. It has the 4 legs and the bent elbows. Thank you for this information. You're welcome. Do you have big carnivorous animals that like eating hybrid human reptilians? No, this animal that I just spoke of is the largest as far as animals go. We do have a way to help nurture them as you would see grown your bodies or burn or bury them. Our bodies are given back to the wild as nutrition in a way for the animal and the plants to use. But there is not, as in your world, animals that eat off human flesh. These are thought to be ones that after they taste it, they are able to kill. This is not the same here. Is it kind of disgusting for us that you give your bodies for animals to eat? Yes, this is not very common. The host expressed his knowledge that this is not appropriate or what you would do. Herein lies the beauty of differences. It does not. It is not for any special reason, but the understanding of our body being a vessel of the soul, so we return the vessel back to the planet. It is a way for us to give our thanks. I see. So you don't feed the animals with your body, you just put that to rest and the animals go there and eat it? Yes, it is put out into the areas that have no population. Yes, the animals will usually eat this, but sometimes they do not. Sometimes they will, much as you see decay or melt back into the ground. So you don't make a hole and put inside like we do? No, this is not done. There are no animals in the soil in the way that you would see this that would consume it, so it is not given the full energy back to it, if you understand what I mean. When you put them on the floor and leave there outdoor, doesn't it stink? This is not done anywhere close to the populated areas. As I explained, our world is much more sparse. Okay, so yes, it is done in what you would say several miles away from civilization or areas that are not populated, that are populated, yes. Why then don't you just put under the ground again? It is just nothing in the ground is able to use this. If it is put in the ground, it will be a waste, and this is the respect that we wish to give into the planet. I see. Now talking about planets, ours is blue planet. What color is your planet? Seen from space. It is of a red-green. Much of the vegetation is red and green, comes from the color that the watercolors looks like when it is under the red light of the star, so it is mostly red with spots of green. I have a lot of other ideas I would like you to share with us from your planet. Before, though, tell me something. How are you enjoying this communication? This is great communication. It is always great for me to reach out and to communicate to others. And the idea that this would be recorded and given out to people is one that makes the host very excited. So this brings me joy to see him joy. How do you think that this can help our planet in ways to make the first contact happen sooner? Not in the same way of the way of changing mind. For the most part, those will see who this will already be at a level of understanding and will already be open to this, but it will greatly help in the exchange of information. And as I wish to, if you are doing this in different sectors of the book, building up with different parts, I would like to ask you a favor, if this is possible. In one of the sectors of this book that you are doing, I wish to dedicate it to a specific type for me to speak about spiritual issues that I find to be important in the helping of the race. Absolutely, yes. That would be our next chapter. I have that in mind. I wish to know about the philosophies that you have, the religious ways of guiding yourselves, how you sort out interactions from child to adults and elders. Absolutely, I had that in mind, and I will dedicate some time for me to ask questions about that. But not to worry, I would definitely like to have you, and then this is my question at the end of this chapter, I would like you to, if possible, to call the other 2 advisors that you have on the southern part of your planet. Yeah, so I would like to please ask you, if at all possible, for our next meeting to call them to talk to us, and then you prepare something that you would like to give to us, like a speech that we give here. But you could divide 15 minutes to each one of you to speak about something, and after that, I would like then to follow up with potential questions that I might have. Is that possible? Yes, this is possible. I can arrange this. I will speak of this to both of them. Lovely, and it is possibility of all of us to be at the same place at the same time with the same availability. It is much easier for us to make ourselves available, for it only takes a portion of our consciousness to do. So even if we are what you might think of as busy with other things, this is very easily achievable, and if they are willing to do this, we will share that what we have, yes. Fantastic. Let's try and do that. And then I will allocate a time for you guys, perhaps 15 minutes for each one of you to share all you want to, as far as whatever topic you want to talk about. And if there are more things, we can always do another chapter for that. I'm very excited about this, and the next chapter, that is definitely what I would like to do. That is a great idea. I do believe this will benefit greatly. Fantastic. So Treb, do you have any parting thoughts today? It is just my gratitude in the way of having this communication. When you open yourselves up to the possibilities of all, when you open yourself up to communication with others, regardless if the ideas are similar or different, whether you can agree or disagree, you will open up to what they say as the heart loves. You will open up your mind, and when ideas are exchanged in the way of great gratitude and of great acceptance, or even acceptance to not accept ideas, but to let others to express them in the way that they feel, this is always the greatest way to have communication with each other. And I want to express my gratitude with you and the host and to all that are involved. I want to thank you for my son as well, and he wants for me to wish you all a good journey. Oh, lovely, and this is what I have to say for today. Well, fantastic. Just perhaps before I say goodbye, I have a little question. To move from a place to another above the water, we usually have ships for long distance travels and boats for short distances. I'm not sure if they are even rivers. All I know is that they are small in relation to ours. How do you travel distances over water? Well, when I express the fact about what you would consider my wife's brother, what he works with small crafts that are the size of buses, the reason that they have the electromagnetic fields around this is to neutralize and withstand pressures of all nature. This includes going under the water, so this is the same craft we would use, or one that is exactly like this, but on a smaller scale to transport ourselves, not only around the planet, but across the water or under the water in great lengths if we do not swim this ourselves. But as expressed, the size of them are small enough where it is possible to do this with no craft. And that's it for today, you guys. Thank you for joining me. Talk to you next time.